Killer, Dipset, Check my stats, man. 78. I got to be the best living, man. You already know. Like Alex Trebek, you're in jeopardy. Yes, sir, we got the recipe. Give you a tech, but nope, not a referee. Like Wyclef, I'm a refugee.
Welcome. You're now tuned in to the Strive for Greatness Sports Podcast with your host, Jerry Howell, a.k.a. J. Howell, a.k.a. Jerry, a.k.a. Little Jerry, whatever you want to call me, man. Just don't call me broke. You know what I mean? I'm starting this podcast as a lifelong want and need to be able to do sports content, cultural content, music content. So I want to bring, a bunch of different collaborators in to help me get this off of the ground. But for right now, I just wanted to get into my NFL picks for the season and to be able to get that on record and to have my first maiden voyage into the podcasting world, man. So my overall vision is that I have something inclusive, something for everybody, between sports, music, entertainment, and just whatever the hot topics of the day or hot topics that's on my mind that I want to talk about, and be able to have that and have good dialogue with good people and build a nice little community and kind of go from there. So without further ado, I'm gonna get right into it with the NFL topics. So I'm gonna go down division by division and give my picks for the year and kind of break stuff down for you. So let's start in the AFC. Going to start in the AFC with the AFC East. All right, and so my division winner in that division is going to be the New England Patriots, and the primary reason being is in Bill Belichick I trust, man. And Bill Belichick I trust. I just believe that when you have that standard set, that standard of excellence set, the way they have it in New England, I think that they're going to be able to play to that standard, and it's going to be tough for somebody to knock them off, and especially with them bringing in a fine-tuned Cam Newton who's in the greatest of shape that he's ever been in, and he's out to prove something. I just believe that New England is going to be tough to beat in that division. I like Buffalo. I like what Buffalo's building. I actually like Buffalo as a wild card. They're a talented team. They're on the rise. I just am edging it out a tad to New England. I don't have New England winning the Super Bowl or anything like that, but I do think they should be able to win that division of young quarterbacks. The Jets are a long ways off. I don't believe in their coach. Adam Gase is terrible to me, honestly. They have some pieces around the quarterback. I like their quarterback and Sam Darnold. I like Le'Veon Bell. I like the pieces they brought in, but it's just something about that coach, man, doesn't really move me, honestly. It doesn't move me, and I think they're just going to be terrible. And I think the Dolphins are going to make some strides, man. I like what the Dolphins have and what they're going to bring to the table. I love the draft pick of Tua Tagovailoa, and I love him being able to sit this year and learn from the veteran and Ryan Fitzpatrick and be able to see and not take any hits as they continue to build this offensive line. They continue to build the weapons around them. I like the running backs they have and Matt Breida and Howard, so they'll be able to run the football. They have a good outside target in Devontae Parker. They have a good tight end in Matt Gesicki, but ultimately I think they're a year or two away. And I think once Tua is able to kind of take over, I think that's the team to kind of watch in the AFC East moving forward. But just to summarize the AFC East, man, I'm gonna give it to New England with a nice 11-5, like 10-6 type record, and we kind of go from there. So AFC West, the obvious pick, gonna go with the Chiefs. Obviously, they're gonna win the division. I mean, it's not really much of a debate there. I mean, they brought back everybody, and then you add Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and you add in a defense that's been together for a full season now to go with the great leader in Andy Reid. I think they're going to coast to a 13-3 record. I just don't see how they don't repeat as the division champs. And bring it up in second place. I'm gonna go with the Raiders, man. I like the Broncos. And really, the Raiders or the Broncos. I mean, it's a toss up. I don't foresee the Chargers really having that great of a year. With their defense is already hurt, and they have a solid roster. But I just don't believe in them being able to overtake what the Raiders are building this year. I really like what the Raiders have built. I like Derek Carr with the weapons they have. I like the running back in Josh Jacobs. I love the draft pick of Henry Ruggs to be able to stretch the field. And then they brought in no hands McGee and Nelson Aguilar. I mean, no hands Nelson, but I think Nelson having a different change of scenery, being back in California, I think it'll help him. I think he'll be a really good option for them. And to go with Waller, who's a top 5 tight end in my opinion, I think the Raiders could be an outside shot to get in the wild card. And the Broncos are building, but I think they're a year away. I like Sutton. I like Jerry Jeudy. I like them getting KJ Hamler, and to go with Drew Lock, the young quarterback. They have the running game in Gordon and Lindsey, but defensively, without Von Miller this year, I don't see. And they lost Chris Harris. I don't see how Denver's able to really put much together. I see them as a 7-9, 8-8 team. They're going to show some promise. They're going to open some eyes, and we're going to get to see some good ability from them. But I'm just not sure they're ready to win yet. Going into the AFC North. That division is going to be a really tough division this year. I think the Steelers having Big Ben back. All the reports are that he's healthy. To go with the stable of receivers they have between Washington and Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, they have a bunch of weapons there in the wide receiver core. To go with James Conner in the backfield, I like what they have, and then their defense is top notch. I love Mika Fitzpatrick and what he brings into. He's able to make them multiple. He could come down in the slot. He could play in the box as a strong safety. He could play free. He could do whatever you need him to do from a defensive back position. And that was Joe Hayden and Edmonds. I love what they have there. And they're going to be a really, really solid football team. And I think they're going to make it hard for the Ravens to have a repeat of what they did last year, because I don't foresee the Ravens going 14-2. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have another MVP type caliber year. I think their offense is going to be really good, and I think their defense is going to be really good. And that's why I have them winning the division. But I just don't see the Ravens being able to go through the division 14-2. I think it's going to be a tougher division this year. And I think the Browns are going to show some strides late in the year. I don't foresee them making the playoffs or anything like that. But with the talent they have a new coach. I think they have the right type of coach for them. I think they should go around 8-8, 7-9. So, and I think they'll beat Baltimore maybe once or steal one from the Steelers. So I think they'll make it interesting down the line. I don't think they'll be like a 5-11 type team like the Bengals will. I don't foresee the Bengals doing anything. So I'm not even going to talk about the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I love AJ Green, but they're going to be basuda. They're going to be trash. All of the synonyms for that. So, and we'll just move forward there. AFC South, I think that's going to be one of the worst divisions in football, honestly. I mean, good grief. I mean, I don't think the Colts or the Jaguars are going to be any good this year. I don't see it. But I do like what the Titans bring to the table. The Titans are going to come to the table with a smash mouth football team. They're going to be able to run downhill. They're going to be able to make some timely throws with Ryan Tannehill. They have the weapons on the outside to keep teams honest, to where you're not going to be able to stack the box on them all the time and be able to come out with a win. And out of them and the Texans, I like them because I think they're the more complete team. The Texans are going to be good. I think they'll win their fair share of games because Deshaun Watson is that great. But I don't like the fact that they gave away Duke Hopkins for, a running back at best that might have, maybe a Pro Bowl season. If David Johnson's not going to have an MVP caliber type season, I don't get what the trade was for. And if you look at what Arizona did with him in terms of the contract, I mean they just gave him a $54 million extension, but it makes it a new 5-year deal with new money. The Texans could have did that. I don't understand what the Texans was doing. Like Bill O'Brien, I don't get it. But I will say that moving forward, the Titans should be able to win the division. The Texans will be there for one of the wild card spots just because the AFC isn't as strong this year, in my opinion. And we go from there. So going to the National Football Conference, the NFC, we're going to start with the NFC South. NFC South, man, that's going to be another strong division. I think the Falcons are going to have a rebound year this year. The Falcons are going to be really good with Julio Jones back fully healthy. I love Calvin Ridley. Matt Ryan being back to his MVP caliber form. I think he's going to have a really good year this year. And I think Gurley being able to run the football with a little bit more physicality, as long as his knee holds up, I think Atlanta will look good. The Saints are going to do Saint-like things. I think they'll be a really solid football team. And I would pick them to win the division, but something just tells me Tom Brady is not coming to play. I think Tom Brady's coming in that division with with that stable talent. I mean, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, and Ronald Jones in the backfield. And then you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at receiver. And then you got O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, and Rob Gronkowski at tight end. So he's going to have a wealth of riches that he hasn't had since maybe 2007 when he had Moss and Welker and Stallworth and them boys coming to play. So if you look at it from that perspective, and then they have a young defense that's on the rise, that can run, that can fly around, that can get after the passer. And I think it's built to play with leads. And if you're able to do that, I think Tampa Bay should win that division. I see it like 12-4, 11-5. I think them and the Saints are going to beat up on each other, and it's going to make it a really interesting year. And I really like Tampa Bay. And if it was any other type of top tier quarterback, I probably would pick against him, because you can't microwave success in football that way. But I think that Tom Brady's fortitude and his leadership in terms of being able to bring guys together, guys are going to listen to him, guys are going to put the work in because he's putting in the work. And Bruce Arians as a coach has already proven that he can win at a really good level, at the coordinator level and at the head coaching level. I believe that the mental makeup of this team will be able to lead me to say that they'll win that division as far as the NFC South. So going to the NFC West, which was a really tough division of football last year, and it's going to be another tough division again this year, because I have the Cardinals on the rise. I think the Rams is a really good team. I think the Niners is a good team, and I think the Seahawks is a good team. I think the division is going to come down to scheduling, and it's going to come down to health, and I'm just going to go with the best quarterback in the division and call this division for Russell Wilson. I just believe that they're giving him the weapons he needs on the outside. DK Metcalf is another year under his belt. He's a physical freak. I love Lockett. I think whatever Josh Gordon gives them will be a plus, and they're always going to be able to run the football. I love Chris Carson. He can play. He just has to stay healthy. And so Seattle's going to be able to come play, and then their defense travels well. Pete Carroll's always going to have a really solid, fundamentally sound defensive ball club that's going to play a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 1, keep things in front of them, and get after the passer. Bobby Wagner's still there leading the charge. So I like Seattle this year to win the division. Over a slight edge over San Francisco. I love what San Francisco brought back defensively. I just think offensively, to start the year off, they're going to get off to a slower start. I just don't foresee them being able to be as dynamic without Deebo Samuel. And they're relying on I can't even pronounce the kid's name, but the kid from Arizona State, Brandon Ayuk, the rookie, he can play. But, it's tough for rookie receivers to come in and make a really, really big impact. So it's going to be interesting to see, how they function. But we do know one thing: they're going to be able to run the football. They're going to run a lot of stretch zone plays, a lot of inside zone. They're going to run the football, and they're going to be able to play good defense. And so it's really a toss of a coin, man, and I edged it to Seattle based on Russell Wilson. And then also I think there's going to be a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, man. Every team that loses the Super Bowl, man, seems to come back the next year. Ever since I've been watching football and really having a hangover, man. Besides the Buffalo Bills, everybody else that loses that thing, they don't really come back the next year and have a good year. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out. But I got Seattle, man. And then going to the NFC North. The NFC North, man, I like Minnesota, man, but something tells me that bad man is going to continue to be that bad man named Aaron Rodgers, man. He's the modern day Dan Marino. He just has to have a Super Bowl ring to go with it. I mean, he's one of the best throwers of the football that we've ever seen. And it's really a toss-up between those two teams. But I'm going to go with Minnesota, man. I like what Minnesota did in the offseason. I love their defensive line with Hunter, and then being able to go get my man out of Jacksonville and allow him to be able to rush the passer as well. That was a really good trade that they made to be able to get the DN and add another piece to replace Everson Griffin. I believe Ngakoue is going to be able to wreak havoc in the NFC North on those tackles and have a really, really big impact because he's hungry and he's out to get paid. So it just makes all the sense in the world there defensively. Their linebacking core is elite. I do have questions about their corners. Their safeties are super solid. Harrison Smith and Harris can play. They're one of the better safety combos in the league, in my opinion. But their cornerbacks, they have young corners, so we're going to see if they can survive out there and what type of coverages that Mike Zimmer employs as the de facto defensive coordinator, as the head coach. So I like them. And then offensively, they're going to be able to run the football with Madison and the great Dalvin Cook. I expect Dalvin Cook to have another banner year to put up 1,500 yards rushing, barring any health issues. Adam Thielen is going to catch everything you throw at him, and I like what they brought in with Justin Jefferson, a guy who could play in the slot, a guy who could play on the outside, who could run every route on the route tree, and fits, I think, Kirk Cousins better in terms of being a guy who can be an intermediate pass catcher. I think Stephon Diggs being able to get deep and the type of receiver he viewed himself as a number one receiver, I don't think that he really fit in Minnesota anymore. So it just made sense for that move to be done in terms of trading him to Buffalo and then being able to draft Justin Jefferson. I'll be honest, I wanted Jefferson for my team, and we didn't get him. And I think he's going to have a really, really solid year. I think he's going to catch the ball at least 60 times, 60 catches for 800 yards easily with about 8 touchdowns. He's going to have a really solid year. So the Bears are going to be lackluster. Their quarterback situation is trash. Their defense is solid as usual, but I don't believe in Mr. Trubisky, and I don't think there's enough weapons there for Nick Foles to come save them. And Nick Foles didn't even beat him out in training camp. I'll shoot Nick Foles some bail by saying, it was the COVID and there wasn't a long install session for him to be able to get on the same page with everybody. But Mr. Trubisky is talented, man. Like, he's a talented guy, so it's going to be hard to beat a guy like that out. But, I mean, I would have hoped Nick Foles beat him out, and he couldn't beat him out. And they, traded a lot to get him, which doesn't make sense to me. But, hey, man, that's Chicago Bears for you. They've always done nonsense and stupid things like that. But, it is what it is. And then Detroit, I think Detroit is going to have a really solid year. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't foresee Detroit being able to make waves to be able to win the division. I think it's a 2-team division. And because of the extra wild card, Detroit possibly can sneak in, but I don't see them being able to do anything of substance for real, honestly. So to continue, last but not least, we got to go into the NFC East. And the NFC East, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles, man. And I know it might seem like a homer pick for those that know me, but I just really feel like the continuity coming back, the addition of Darius Slay, and what I expect Carson to be able to do with weapons around him with more speed to go with the tight ends. I just really feel like the Eagles should be able to really, really have a really good year this year. I don't expect them to be world beaters, but I do expect them to be able to go at least 10-6, 11-5. And normally in NFC East, because we beat each other up, that's normally enough to win. The Cowboys have really, if you look at the Cowboys roster, man, I mean, besides their secondary, man, they have a lot of talent on that team, man. I think if they were maybe year or two into the Mike McCarthy system, I would probably pick the Cowboys. But because it's a brand new coach, brand new system, they brought in a lot of different guys defensively that have to play to their potential, but we just don't know if they're going to be able to do what it is that it takes to win on a consistent basis. And there seems to be a black clat running around that franchise, man. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, go with the champs of the NFC East last year, and that's going to be my pick for the NFC East this year. And so rounding it out into my Super Bowl picks, My Super Bowl pick is going to be Kansas City. I like the Kansas City Chiefs, man, to go back to the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna reach in the NFC, and I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers, man. Something just tells me, man, Tom Brady's gonna figure it out and get these guys playing, get these guys believing in themselves. The NFC is tougher to pick because there's just so many good teams, man. But barring injuries and all the health, and I have the right to change my opinion, by the way. I mean, this is early. You know what I mean? We don't know what's what right now. But in my opinion, I think we probably could mark it up as the Chiefs and the Buccaneers for my early Super Bowl picks. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And that's where I'm gonna go. And then finally, going into my last topic, my NFL MVP. My dark horse for NFL MVP is going to be Cam Newton. I think he's really hungry. I think he's going to be able to uplift those guys and get those guys playing for him. And I think with Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels calling the plays for him, he finally has intelligence that's going to be calling plays, intelligence that's going to be developing game plans, that's going to be able to use him and the rest of the team to the best of their abilities. I think Cam could be the dark horse MVP. And then my front runner for MVP is going to be Tom Brady, man. That's an embarrassment of riches he has down there in Tampa Bay, man. I just think Tom's going to come out and really set the world on fire. As long as that offensive line can protect them, I don't see why Tom Brady can't have a really great year. And then my runner-up is going to be Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is going to have another great year offensively. I think he's going to continue to show that he's more than just a running quarterback. And they brought in guys that can catch the football. Hollywood Brown being healthy now is going to help them take the top off the defense. Devin Duvernay, the kid from Texas, can really play. I think he's going to be a really great slot guy for them. And he has 4.3 speed, so that's another guy that can run as well. I think Boykin is going to be a really good possession receiver for them, and he's going to have a really good year too. And then Snead is going to be all reliable for him. And I think Mark Andrews is going a really good year, as well as J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram running the football. So I think Lamar is going to lead them and have a really good year. I just don't think it's going to be 14-2, but I think he personally is going to have a better year than he had last year. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson for my MVP pick. So, hey, man, thanks for bearing with me, guys, man. It's my maiden voyage. And again, it's going to grow over time. Today I wanted to get my football picks off and get that on the record. And then moving forward, man, I'm really excited about what I'm being able to bring to you guys. I'm going to have some really good guests for different topics. Because again, it's not going to be just a sports podcast. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk culture. Whatever's hot, the hot topic is of the given day. Right now, I'm envisioning being able to come to you guys twice a week. And I'm trying to hold myself to that twice a week and have some really good conversation, whether it be relationships, what's going on in terms of COVID-19, my viewpoint on social injustice, and just have some really good, educated conversations. So, hey, man, thanks for bearing with me, man, and tap in, listen to the podcast, tap in on YouTube, tap into the Strive for Greatness podcast on Instagram. Tap into my Instagram, J_Howell2, and J_Howell2 on Twitter as well. And yeah, man, I'm a rookie to this, so it's going to just bear with me as we go along, man. I'm going to get rocking. But Strive for Greatness Sports Podcast, signing off.